So it just so happens that we're going out shopping. We need a little grocery shopping to hold us over. And you can see what's going on. We have this lady here in the golf cart because it's 11:55 and they open the gates at noon. So she's going to direct everybody over into this direction, into that section. But more importantly, she's stopping them from going into the park. Now, when we get a little bit further out here, you're going to see, I don't know if you can see in the distance, I'll zoom in a little bit. Maybe, yeah, that's about all I can with this steady shot on. There's an RV sitting in the left turn lane. He's going to be sitting there for the next 5 minutes. He's probably been sitting there since, I don't know, for the last 2 minutes. So nobody can make a left into the park because he's waiting to pull in at the wrong time.
Hopefully the police is out because they fined him $130.
Yes.
Hopefully he's getting a ticket.
Because this guy with the golf cart that's at the end here, that guy, he will not let him in. Their rules is noonin. Guys, comment if you know what that is. So anyways, this person here will not let them in. And in the meantime, these guys are just going to sit out here indefinitely.
Turn right.
You don't do this. You don't do this. You don't sit out here and block traffic.
So if you have a Chevy and a Sierra, a Ford and a Vibe, and XLR with the Ford, you're idiots.
And now a motorhome is joining the crowd too.
Because now we have to come back that way.
Yeah.
0.1 miles.
Luckily,
Turn right.
we're going to be gone for a little while, even though we're just going down the street. However, we could have just easily been running up to get a pack of gum at Wawa and then coming back. Guys, don't do that.
Have you been up to?
I've been riding on a daydream. Hello, YouTube. Why is it that every time I'm on the camera, my hair's messy? Maybe it's because I got long hair. I need to get a haircut. You need to get a haircut too? Heidi wants a style, I think. We are still in Thousand Trails, Orlando. We're getting ready to head out of here. Like we mentioned in the last video where we showed the park. Heidi's over there cooking. You can't tell. Again, she's always cooking. As you can tell by my face and my body that she's always cooking. We still have a couple days here, and we've got some ducks that we're getting in a row. Let's say that. And we're preparing for something, but we can't talk about it. And again, we'll have a future video on that at some point. Yeah, my hair is really messy today. It don't have any rhyme or reason the way it's going. What I wanted to talk about, and it got me to turn the camera on, is I watched a video from a YouTuber that does a lot of journalism stuff on RVs. Remember that people are going to put stuff on YouTube that they feel as if is important and impactful and grandiose to some extent. Truck manufacturers in the past have downgraded carrying capacities before. It's not anything new, but I just wanted to let you know that they were specifically saying that Ford trucks, and of course Super Duties, and of course a lot of us are towing with Ford trucks, that they downloaded their cargo carrying capacity, their payload capacities, their towing capacities, whatever. They just reorganized it, and you know, it happens. That happens. Like I said, that's happened in the past. For a 2020, in our case, F350 Super Duty with an FX4 package, a camper package, a snowplow package, with the 7.3 gas engine with the 10-speed automatic with 373 gears and factory tires, crew cab long bed. We can tow a trailer that weighs 15,750 pounds. And we're not, this trailer fully loaded, maxed out is 12,100. So we're way under that. We could actually get a bigger fifth wheel if we want a heavier fifth wheel, but I just thought I'd jump in and let you know. I try to say this all the time on our channel. Don't listen to what you hear on YouTube, and that's even from me too. Do your own research, figure it out on your own, and you've got to remember that all of us that are posting stuff on YouTube, we don't really fall into that game so much, but people are trying to get views, and if you've seen a thumbnail with my face on it and it said, "I'm having a great day today," or "watch me go fishing," you may not click on it. I wouldn't click on it. But if you see us, if I have a car wreck that's on, the thumbnail, and it's got a car on its roof and it's on fire, and I'm standing out there going and pointing and going one of these numbers. That's the other people do a lot. They Home Alone faces and stuff like that. Me and Heidi's done a couple of those thumbnails, and it makes a huge difference by how many people click on it. Doesn't mean the content's any better or any worse. So the thing is, with content, just be aware that whenever there's content going out, we're trying to put content out that you want to hear and see. In my case, not so much. We just kind of put out content regardless. And if you don't want to see it, you don't want to see it. With that said, if you like this video, click like or subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything, and it helps our channel out a lot. I see a lot of that going on. Next thing you'll be hearing me going,
"Hey, what's up, YouTube? Here's your boy."
Oh man, I see a lot of that too. But I wanted to touch base that, yeah, there's just go into Ford support. Just go to Ford support. If you don't have an account, you're gonna have to create an account, and then go in and look at your tow capacities and see what they say. In our case, they were adjusted. Looks like they went up a little bit. This portion of the video is brought to you by rules. Nobody wants to do rules. I get it. Nobody wants to deal with rules. I want to talk about it in a manner, though, that's maybe a little bit different. How many of you know what the rules are, for example, of are you allowed to put up a pet fence to keep your pet in an area? It all depends on the park. They're not allowed in like Rose Bay at Port Orange. Those aren't allowed. And you would think that they would be. This is the kind of thing that I want to bring to your attention. There's some of these rules, unless you read, and in this park, they've got pages of rules. Unless you read through the rules, you may not know what it is. For example, we had a really nice couple that was parked next to us, and this is a new section. We're in the new section, and in this park, J, K, and L, nothing's allowed on the grass. You're allowed on the grass. That's it. So you can walk around on the grass, but that's all. No vehicles on the grass. You can't drive through the grass. You're not supposed to ride through the grass on any level, and you're not supposed to put any kind of a awning mat, which that's what the neighbors did. They just didn't know. An awning mat down, and same with these gazebos. If we were to put it up, it doesn't go on the grass here. Now there's some sites out here that you can, but it's just like some parks. Some parks allow it, some parks don't. You have to read the rules for that park. Nobody wants to sit down and read the rules when they first get in. I do, and Heidi does, just so we don't screw up something, and just so we know what is to be done and what's not to be done in certain situations. If I see one more pet, we'll talk about pets here, not on a leash. It says not only can they have to be on a leash at all times, even at your site, but the leash can't be longer than 10 foot. And we see these guys that have these retractable 30-foot leashes, if they're even on a leash at all. And when we're riding our bike, Heidi, I don't know how many times she stopped because the dogs have heard us and seen us, but the owners are chit-chatting with each other or on the phone, and who knows what their reel, their fishing reel they got their dog on, what it's set to, and if they're able to stop them if they get on a run. Even if they have one of those reels that you can push the button and it stops the leash immediately at whatever distance it is. Those dogs are so quick, and some of them are so powerful that, yeah, you can walk your dog and they're pulling, but if that dog gets a full-on run and then you hit that button to stop it, it's going to yank that thing clean out of your hand most likely, and guess what? We get tackled or bit on our bikes. So leashes at all time, no more than 10 foot, And if I see one more person walk around this lake with their dogs free, just to roam and do whatever they do, why? You know, there's places for them to walk. There's dog parks and such, as you know, that you can let them run at that point. Playing devil's advocate, I'm sure it's, oh, how much damage could he really be doing out there? You know, oh, it's just a little bit of dibble. It's not that bad. Nah, and even letting them defecate in your sight, and then you go out and clean it up. Are you really cleaning it up? I mean, are you out there wiping every blade of grass? Are you making sure that you water it down so it's down in the soil? So I don't want to get on a whole topic of pets on this, but it seems like that people treat pets like they're kids, which is fine, but it's just like kids. They let them do things that they shouldn't do because, oh, they're only pets and it's not harming anything. That's not, you know, you didn't set the rules. Somebody else set the rules. Some of this etiquette, some of these rules are pretty common sense, but some of them, again, I'm bringing you awareness to stuff that might seem a little obscure because you didn't read the rules. And I'm not, this isn't a rant, this is just, some of that was, I'll be honest, but this is just me advising that you've got to read the rules for every park because there's some goofy rules that you would never thought of. For example, obviously your kids are not to run through other people's sites. However, did you know that in this park, anybody under the age of 14 has to be accompanied by an adult at all time? They have to be supervised by an adult at all time. Anybody under 13. So if you have a 13-year-old rebellious, TikTok, I'm going to selfie, hey, person, she don't want nothing to do with her parents because you're not cool, guess what? She's not exploring this park without you. Even on her bicycle, and guess what? Anybody under the age of 16 here has to wear a helmet. I don't care if it's a scooter, a hoverboard, a bicycle, they have to wear a helmet. It's a state law. Yet we see 10-year-olds flying through here without helmets, and I'm sure they're told, because I'm going to tell you that these camp hosts that are here, or these helpers, they stop people and they tell them, hey, you're going too fast. That happened to us last year, or 2 years ago. So these kids under the age of 14 have to be accompanied by an adult at all time. If you have a 14 to 17-year-old, they don't have to be accompanied. However, guess what they can't do? That 16-year-old, 17-year-old, 15-year-old, 14-year-old cannot be the person that's watching after the 13-year-old to 1-year-old. It can't happen. No matter how much you think that they're responsible, the rules say clearly a 17-year-old is not allowed to be the one that's accompanying the child that is 13-year-old. Just look into these rules. You don't want to break them. I mean, if something happens and it's bad, guess what's going to come down? It's going to come down to where were you at? And now the responsibility got flipped. I mean, just to let you know, we see a lot of kids out here running around, and I don't see any parents in sight. And as far as riding around on the bikes and that, you follow the speed limits. You have to follow the speed limits. I don't care if you're on a bike, a hoverboard, or whatever. I don't care if you're on a 1965 beach cruiser Schwinn, and you are Lance Armstrong, and you're able to do 40 miles an hour on that bike through the park. You're not supposed to. That's not what happens. That's not what's supposed to happen through the park. You follow the speed limit. The speed limit through the entire park is 10 miles an hour, except since we read the rules, back in this back corner of the park, that wooded area, it's only 5 miles an hour. I didn't know that. I would have done 10 miles an hour through there. If you are in a car and you're traveling through the park at speed limit of 8-9 miles an hour, and you come upon a bicycle that's doing 8 or 9 miles an hour, which I'm not sure exactly how you would catch up to them if you're doing the speed limit, you're not allowed to pass them. There is no passing. There's no cars passing trucks or trailers. It doesn't make a difference. You're not to be passing in the park. Now, if they pull over and wave you around, that's something entirely different. But if I'm on my bike and I'm doing 9 miles an hour and I'm going up the road and somebody comes up behind us, guess what? I'm not getting over. I'm not yielding because it says no passing, because the person that comes up behind you should be doing the speed limit also. So there should be no reason for passing. These roads aren't wide enough for that. Overflow parking. So if you're vehicle don't fit on the pad or it's out on the street, you need to take your vehicle and drive it up to the overflow parking and leave it there. I mean, that's a rule. You can't, oh, it's only one tire. Who cares? That's on the grass. That period. That's all there is to it. Everybody in this park follows this rule great in this section for sure. So I don't have again, I'm not ranting about it, I'm just telling you. These are the kind of rules you need to read and understand. And again, the last thing that you're given this when you come through the gate. And most of the time we may look through it briefly. We might look at what's happening on the calendar. Might see if there's a food truck coming in or something. Other than that, we don't want to read it, but we found a lot of weird rules. Leaving your RV for a period of time. Because we can stay for free at this park doesn't mean it's free storage. I can't come in here and just set my RV down and then take off and leave for 3 days and go on a cruise. It doesn't work that way. Now, we have in the past, we've left the RV for a couple of days. However, we have come back. We've made sure we're not so far away that we can't come back. We have cameras all around outside, and we have a camera inside. Not only that, but I can control my climate inside here. And all those cameras have alarms that get triggered for motion, for sound, like if it hears a smoke detector or something. But nonetheless, we have never broke that rule to where we just say, goodbye RV, we'll see you in a week, we're going on a cruise. It doesn't work. A valid driver's license is required to operate a golf cart. Go figure. That seems common sense to me. Yet we see these kids that have their parents next to them, and the kids are driving the golf cart. Oh, he does this at home all the time. I don't care. I don't want a 10-year-old or a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old to be responsible for all the damage that they're going to do to my vehicle because they forgot how to push the brake or they panicked because they're not in that right frame of mind. There's exceptions to these rules as far as what kids can do and which kid is equal to others, but there's no exception to the rule of they're not allowed to be in there regardless. I don't care if the kid's an accomplished dirt bike rider and has won 15 championships in the junior race championship. I don't care. They're not to be the golf cart driver. That's all there is to it. No matter what you think about the kind of vehicles that you're bringing with you, they may not be legal for the park. Just because you see electric bicycles, you see hoverboards, you see scooters, not all parks allow that. Some parks say no scooters, no hoverboards. Some say bikes okay, not electric bikes. I have only seen one park that I can remember that allows ATVs and dirt bikes and mini bikes. That just doesn't happen. And you know, a lot of those bicycles that you buy the little motor kit that goes on the frame, those are really motorcycles in the eyes of a lot of places. Now, Florida has some weird rules with that and laws with that, but like we've had mopeds, and mopeds are gas powered, but they are licensed and registered in the state of Ohio in our case when we had them. So we were allowed to drive them on the roads as long as those roads had laws about mopeds. Now, like in North Carolina, we had to wear helmets with our 20-mile-per-hour mopeds, which I thought was hilarious. They had to be DOT-approved helmets. But we followed the rules. So, yeah, you can't just bring whatever, you can't say, hey, we're going out to the campground. You know, it'd be really fun. Instead of having a golf cart, how about we bring our side-by-side, or we bring our ATV, our Quadzilla 500, cc ATV. I'm dating myself. They haven't made that Quadzilla for years, but yeah, you can't do it. You've got to read the rules. Walking, biking at night, kids, no kids, don't make a difference. Guess what? You better have lights. You better have a flashlight, a lantern, some kind of like a Lucy lantern. We did a review on that in the past. Some kind of a headlamp. It doesn't make a difference. Some sort of a light. And as far as the bikes, same thing. Kids enjoy those little especially when they're a certain age. They like having those little flashlights and stuff strapped to their bicycles anyway. So go ahead and get them for your kids. They're not expensive. They just have to be lights of some kind. Just get them on there. Make them a little bit more safe. Again, that's a rule. Back-in sights are designed to be backed in. Pull-through sights are designed to be pulled through in a certain direction. Don't reverse it. Don't get all cute and think boy, our view would be so much nicer if we, for example, I've talked about this already. I don't know if you can see our view out here. It's a pretty nice view. We go get one of the screens out of the way. But yeah, it's a nice view of the lake there. Well, not everybody has windows. I'll pull this back down for the lighting. Not everybody has windows on their camp side of their RV like we do. This big lake and all the pine was over there. That doesn't mean I can pull forward with my RV and unhook it and then drive around and, you know, park my truck. It's what it's designed for. Again, these are, it seem like common sense, but people, you know, you don't know what goes through people's heads. They're like, I paid for this site and I paid for that view and I'm going to flip my RV around to see it. Don't do it. That's not what it's made for. And that puts your utilities on the wrong side anyways, but still, people have done it and run hoses underneath their RVs. Before you break out your fire pit, your grill, your whatever it is, make sure you know the rules. We see a lot of people that are in this park that have charcoal grills and they have regular grills too. And some of their grills just sit off to the side because they're not allowed to use it in the park here. We loved, and we always loved, to cook on charcoal. Heidi was the master at cooking on charcoal or hard wood lump and being able to get the heat just right and do slow cooked indirect heating for wings and stuff like that. When we hit the road, we knew that having charcoal wasn't feasible. It just wasn't a good idea. So be aware that a lot of parks don't allow open fires. And if you have an open fire pit that sits above ground, you still have to have a top on it if you're burning something inside there. Gas, that's a whole nother story. So again, read the rules to find out. In this park, certified mobile RV repaired is allowed. But members and guests are prohibited from changing fluids or making major repairs on any vehicle, including any camping vehicle, tow vehicle, car, golf cart, motorcycle, anywhere in the park. Vehicles must be repaired out of the park. So, can I change my oil out? No. Nope. It says right there, I can't change my oil. Big deal. I go up the street, I go to the auto parts store where I have to dump my recycled oil anyways, and I can change it in their parking lot there. Ask Heidi. She had people do it all the time in her store. She, you know, all the years that she worked at the auto parts store, people did all kinds of repairs there. They usually lend you tools too if you need help. Don't count on it necessarily, but still. Don't do it in the park. That's not what the park's for. Nobody wants to hear me out here with an air nailer re-roofing an old RV or something, or building stairs, you know, some kind of a major repair. Just don't do it. Do not cut through other people's sites. Seems common sense to so many people, yet there's people that still, I've had 3 people that have walked through our sites. You know why? They go around the big lake and then they get over here and they're trying to figure out how to get back out. Well, there is really no way to get back out without going through somebody's site. When it comes down to it, I find this hilarious. Have you ever noticed how many people will drive around a parking lot of a fitness center to try to find the closest parking space that they can to go into the fitness center to work out? How stupid and idiotic is that? Well, it's the same thing here. These people will come out here with their dogs and they want to go walk around the lake for the exercise with their dog. Yet when they get to the other side, they're finding the shortest way out. They're trying to, why? You wanted to walk around for exercise with your dog. Exercise a few more sites down, or better yet, go all the way back around and go out the way you came in. I mean, it just doesn't seem, it comes down to just being, I don't care, just getting to that point where they say, well, I don't care, I'm going to do it anyways because that's what I want. That's really borders entitlement there. The rule says don't cut through other people's sites, so don't do it. That's plain simple. They even have it capitalized in their rules. By the way, that was a rant. All vehicles that are in the Welcome Center or the Rec Center, they have to be registered. They got to know where these vehicles are. You can't, you know, this is not that far from Orlando, and there is, because there's so many people here living in different ways, there's a lot of questionable stuff that could happen here. You know, the park we feel is safe overall. We feel very comfortable here. So much so that we've only put up a couple of our security cameras versus what we normally do. You know, we were here, and there was like 6 cruisers that came flying through with lights on. Now, they had lights and sirens initially when they first got to the park, but once they got in, they just flew down the road. They were definitely not doing the speed limit, and they went down to a campsite, and they were there for a period of time. And not that long ago, just a few years ago, they actually had, unfortunately, a murder that happened in the park, way in the back. It was basically a hostage or a kidnapping situation. Yeah, things can happen. The more people you get around each other, the more things like that happens. Be aware of the rules. That's why there are so many rules, to make sure that you don't offend somebody next to you to get to the point where they have a problem with you, and next thing you know, there's a fight. The other thing is clotheslines. You just can't string them up anywhere. A lot of the parks have rules. You can hang your clothes. No undergarments, underwear at any time are to be hung out. Period. I don't care how it's hung out. That's not supposed to happen. And the clotheslines have to be self-supported 100% by your RV, meaning one of these bumper mount clotheslines. And I don't know if you guys have seen them, but it basically is 2 rods with a bunch of strings or wires or something that bolts to the back of your RV that you slide down over the post, and you can hang your clothes. I get it. I can see a good reason, especially down here in the heat, where hanging clothes would save a lot of time. But just don't, you just can't put up a clothesline and stick something in the ground. And quite honestly, in Florida, that's the other thing. Driving stakes in the ground and stuff like that, be careful. Florida don't bury their utilities very deep at all. They don't need to. Nothing's freezing. In Ohio, you have to be so many inches. What is it, 13 or 14 inches? Do you know? So. Yeah, before, so you're below a freeze line. Up here, down here, you don't have to do that. You just run a pipe under the ground. We've been at campgrounds that we've seen, like the cable, the utility for the cable, if it has cable hookup at all the sites for TV. We've seen the cable just barely buried under the surface. Even some water supply has just been that deep under the surface. So anyways, that's all I want to talk about rules. I hope that you stay tuned for the most of this. I hope that you sped up the video. Maybe put it on 1.75 for the speed to get through all that. But the thing, the whole gist behind this is they give you these big books that are just full of information about the park, about stuff that's going on in the park, about activities in the park, about activities outside the park. They usually give you a calendar of events, which my big fat fingers can't get to. There we go. Let you know what's going on every day. Important phone numbers, how far it is to get to places. Read through here. There's good information, but don't skip the rules. Don't think that you know them, because they change all the time and they're different from every park. So I'll let you guys go on that. Again, sorry about the long-windedness.